Thanks for joining us. City leaders recently struck a deal with federal officials after a decade of negotiations. Now, the agreement settles a lawsuit filed by the Environmental Protection Agency over sewage overflows into federal waters. Greg Chandler is live out by the Oso wastewater treatment plant on Ennis Jocelyn Road this afternoon. So, Greg, what does this settlement require?
Well, Lee, according to city officials, the biggest takeaway is that the EPA is giving the city 15 years to upgrade its wastewater treatment system and get it up to par. Now, that won't be cheap doing so, but it could have been a lot worse. The agreement is called a consent decree. City leaders call it a roadmap for long-needed infrastructure work.
The consent decree is really a work plan for how the city of Corpus Christi will improve its wastewater system over the next 15 years.
The terms of the agreement, a $1.1 million fine, plus 15 years to get the wastewater system up to par. The city first got on the EPA's radar in 2008 when sewage repeatedly overflowed into Corpus Christi Bay. Negotiations started a couple years later, and the Fed's initial settlement offer would have hit the city hard.
The EPA came in like very heavy-handed, and they said you need to invest over $1 billion into your system 10 years ago, and that would have just really dramatically, significantly increased everyone's wastewater rates.
There's a lot of repairs that need to be taking place in the lines. We have to improve the capacity as well as the amount of sewage that flows underground in our system.
The city plans to update its 6 treatment plants, 102 lift stations, and more than 1,000 miles of underground pipe. The cost, $725 million. Ratepayers won't see an increase right away, but next October, the average water user will see their bill go up about $3 a month. It goes up another $1 in October 2023.
There is a plan for each of the next 15 years, some additional staff along the way, as well as rate adjustments for the ratepayer to help pay for all the infrastructure improvements.
Now, another big part of this agreement between the city and the EPA, the city gets to keep the Oso water reclamation facility behind me as part of that deal. The EPA had wanted it moved. Reporting live, Greg Chandler, Chris 6 News. Lee.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. By the way, work on replacing those sewer lines began while the city and the EPA were still negotiating, and the city says about a third of the lines have already been replaced at this point. In other action, the City Council has given preliminary approval to the creation of a 5th Tax Increment and Reinvestment Zone, or TIERS, and approval of that TIERS is the first step for a multi-million-dollar housing development on the west side. That development will be called a Bohemian Colony. The plan is to build it on 250 acres of land near Greenwood and Holly Road. The developer has proposed nearly 800 townhomes, a 10-acre, $3 million community park, and a 40-acre commercial space. Now, if the TIERS does get approved next week, a final approval, the developer says it's willing to invest $230 million in this project, including infrastructure.